Um, so we are going to resume our WIG meetings, and we have a few things to talk about. Obviously, our enrollment period is over. We're going into our first fall with our advocates and Nancy, several of our new positions. Amanda, I don't think you started in the fall either, correct? Amanda
No,
Gregory,
that's correct.
sorry.
Oh, sorry. Wrong Amanda.
Yep,
I
I'm
mean, I
coming
think
to you
it's true for
next.
both
Yep.
of us.
Yeah, okay. So this is exciting. I mean, for the first time, we are getting the grants ramped up. So lots to talk about. A lot of activity going on. I'm unbelievably I'm geeking out over this. This is really our opportunity to shine. For the first time, we are staffed much closer to what I would like. There's still some areas where I think we need some support. I would put financial aid still at the very top of that. But we also need some processes. The grants really don't focus on financial aid. Is Nikki on today?
Yes.
Hi, Nikki.
Hi.
As Nikki knows very well, there are some things that colleagues should be doing for financial aid, and the financial aid settings have never even been turned on at the college. I did not even know that till Nikki. So Nikki, thank you for making me aware of so many things that we need to do. So, but anyway, this fall is going to be a fun week of continuing to, or fun semester of continuing to improve, but really getting to enact a lot of things that many of you were hired for. So really exciting. So let's start off with the purpose of the WIG meeting. So the purpose of the WIG meeting is to talk about our goals, how we're doing. We can also use this time for professional development. We used to do these every week. We are not going to do them every week. I'm thinking we'll do them every other week, and unless Gerald and our directors decide we need more than that. But I think that is adequate for our purposes. My intent, and Joe, just so you can know this right now, if you would repost our hours so that the first hour of the day on every other Friday from here on out, we will open the admissions office at 9 o'clock. Fair enough? That way, because I want to make sure too often some people in admissions have not been able to really fully participate, and we want to make sure that they can and they get this information and are part of the discussion of how are things going. So with that said, we'll probably do some continued CRM training, asking how things are going, because that's new and there's a lot going on there. And that's incredibly exciting. We'll get some numbers today from Katie on our enrollment for this fall. We'll ask what went well, what didn't, and what can we do differently. And if any of you want to suggest some professional development training that you would like to have or see, this would be a great avenue for that as well. So you can just email me those things. We don't need to do them in public. We can just email me those things, and we will do that. So let's begin our day, Katie, with our numbers, and we'll start with that.
Okay, sorry. With the fire alarm yesterday, I didn't get a chance to do this as quickly or as pretty as I wanted to, I should say. Anyways, enrollment, we're up by 7 students for the fall semester. We are down in current students, returning students, and transfer students, but with the advocates, I think that's where the greatest impact is, because we are actually up with FIDIACs this year. And we are also up in the number of credit hours that we have from this time or over last year, I should say. So even with the 7 students, we are up quite significantly, up by 5% over last year for credit hours, which is great. So I did a little bit of takeaways just to make it all good. And actually we're up 7 students. I didn't know my math this morning. I didn't have coffee. Sorry about that. We had an increase of 7 students from fall of 2022 to fall of 2023, despite the challenges that we encountered this year with just with everything, a new team and admissions starting in February and just all sorts of other things. The average number of credit hours per student increased this fall from 7.67 credits to 8.05 credits, which I think is quite significant. I think that helps with certainly our budget and many other things. My recommendations in looking at all of this and just kind of thinking about it, things for us to watch in the future. We did have a melt of current students in the week that school starts. So we lost 20 current students. And when I talk about current students, I'm talking about those that were registered for winter, registered for fall, and then dropped out. So we lost 20 of those students in a week. So granted, it's in talking with the students is due to many different reasons, most of which were personal, but it is an area that we need to really think about how we're going to assist those students. And I know that that's on Amanda Althouse's side, but as well, but I wanted to bring that up. And then also the impact of not completing a D-Reg, what that may have on this fall. So just a couple of things, just initial things in looking at this stuff. I'm sure I can come up with a lot more, but that's what I've come up with so far. So.
This is great information, Katie. And actually, I want to focus on that average number of credit hours. That's something I've been talking about since I got here. The more we can help students towards a full-time schedule, the more likely they are to graduate. It's really tough to keep your eye on the prize of graduation as a student when you are taking 6 credits or three. Some students take 3 credits a semester, and I've known a few to get by, but that's not the majority. It's really difficult to graduate when you are a part-time student. And so the more we can help students find their way to even 9 credits, the more likely they're going to be. There's also another significance in the number 9 for me. And that comes back to these new state programs. These new state programs have a requirement of not only taking, and this is what students don't get, right? They sign up for the minimum, which is you must take and pass 6 credits. That doesn't mean you should take 6 credits, because if you don't pass, you withdraw from a course or so forth, that semester does not count for you in meeting that bare minimum requirement. And so I'm really happy to see, and I know, Katie, we've talked about this a little bit, that our students are taking a little bit more on academically. So, and that's also the importance of good scheduling, right? Pair a tough course with an easier course. But we need to make sure that students get those 6 credits passed in. And we know with our pass rates, that's just not going to happen for a lot of students when they take the minimum. So that's great work. Also, can you put that screen back up, Katie? I don't want us to feel down. I'll deal with the issue of where the college wanted its enrollment, but our team did a really good job, especially when you consider a couple of things. High school enrollment graduation is down. So the number of students coming out of high schools around here has been declining every year and is expected to decline every year for the most part through 2030. In spite of that, if you can share that screen again, Katie.
Is that, Scott?
There we go. What was that, Nancy?
Why is that? Why is high school graduation enrollment going down?
Less kids. Less kids in Monroe. That's simple. We're becoming an old money kind of county.
And that has been for a long time, and it's not just in Monroe. The impact is throughout the state. That's why you're starting to see more and more four-year institutions impacting those counties like Monroe that that maybe they've never really touched all that much in the recruitment process because they're feeling the pinch as well.
And Monroe's been hit hard with automotive in the past, and that hasn't fully recovered by any means. And we expect energy to contribute to declining people living in Monroe in the next years, as well as DTE closes the nuclear plant in the future. Although I hear they're extending that now. I don't know. We'll see what's going on there. But also the coal plant is to turn to gas and only be used in high need situations, is my understanding. So we'll see where all that takes us. But that's kind of, there's a whole lot of why, Nancy.
Thank you.
But with that said, look at first time freshmen, right? That's what our advocates do. That's what they were hired to do. And our first time freshman is up 5%, and you should be applauded for that. That's a good number. And I'm proud of that. So, but with that said, yeah, absolutely. Let's turn it out to everyone else. I want to hear a couple of things that went well this enrollment period. This was a long enrollment period, 4 months. What are some things that went well? Gerald.
So I just wanted to kind of echo what Katie said, but also, that enrollment increase was with several classes that were canceled, which is obviously not anyone's fault particularly, but those were students that were enrolled that we worked hard to get, and their classes were canceled, and not all the time were we able to get them into other classes. So that definitely had an impact on enrollment, but even with that, we were still up. I just want to just really applaud everyone that I work with, from financial aid to admissions to the registrar's office, disability services, testing, student success, and the tutors and the library. I really saw so much collaborative work happening among these departments to serve students, save students, help students. I'm going to loop the bookstore into this. Amazing to work with, to see the type of caring and empathy that everybody has shown this semester, which, again, a lot of new people, not new to their profession, but new to Monroe County Community College and the way we do things in our computer systems and things like that. It's just been an amazing, amazing fall. And, for my people out there, I love you guys. You guys did such a great job. I'm so happy to work with you. One of the things that also we're doing this fall, just as a reminder, that 30 of us will be going through mental health first aid training next Friday and the following Monday. And this is being provided for free with our partnership with the Monroe County Mental Health Authority. And so it's kind of a pilot group to go through and get feedback. My intent is to run another section of 30 in November. And so it's a very highly regarded program that many, many colleges, universities have already gone through. So I'm really excited about that in our partnership. And again, I just can't say enough about everybody that has just worked so hard. And I've got a chance to work with one-on-one with financial aid and all of their students and the testing center, and just everyone around here. The registrar's office is just amazing. So I just wanted to give kudos to everybody.
Awesome.
In regards to what went well, I really liked the new student orientation. I think it really gave us a good opportunity to meet with students who were just coming in, who had questions. And I thought our advocates did an amazing job with the presentation. For me, specifically coming in and watching that presentation, it was really helpful to me, right, as a new employee, to get like the grasp as the students were getting it. So basically, though I've been a student here at MCCC, coming in, right, and watching that, I was like, okay, I feel like I have a better understanding of the school, of the programs that are available, of the resources. So I really appreciated that presentation from our advocates and the new student orientation.
Yeah, great point, Nancy. I heard from so many past students who are parents now. I wished I had this. So that was great. Sarah, good morning.
Good morning. I don't have a slide. I'm sorry. One of the things
don't need a slide. I did not ask for slides of anyone other than Katie for our numbers.
Okay. One of the things that Gerald and I have kind of been collaborating on is more communication to the students direct. So we sent them our office sent them an email explaining all the dates when the semester began. And I've been hitting them with texts. And I know now Katie has been doing that. We've got the screen out with the dates on it. Since we're looking, we're changing the DREG process this way. The first time the DREG process was changed, we had a lot of students that appealed and said, I thought my classes were going to be dropped, and they had a valid claim there. So I think the more information we give them on all the different platforms, the less likely we're going to be giving so many withdrawal appeals. So I think that's
Much
a
better
good
communication.
habit.
Absolutely. And thank you for that and sending those messages.
Mhm. I will mention that with the DREG and some of the things we're piloting there, in the summertime, we did not drop anyone for the DREG list, and over 93% of our students ended up paying. I mean, that's a huge number of students. The fall DREG list, we've decided to get some more data and not withdraw anybody because we have had these communications from the admissions with the online or with the in-person orientations with everybody we're meeting with. We're letting them know and be very aware that it's their responsibility to drop. But just perusing the list that Sarah sent yesterday, and I've worked in financial aid for the last month, helping with students and things like that. I recognize most of these names, and we're working with them. And for us to drop them would have been a huge disservice to the students because we're working with them. They've turned their financial aid in late, so which is not obviously not our fault, but it's going to be resolved. We're going to get that revenue and that money. So I'll be interested to see how the statistics come out in December when I go through that list again. So.
Yeah, and almost all those students did come back previously when we dropped them, and they came back mad because they couldn't then get back into their classes. So I think this is a good process, and excited to see it. Joe, comments from your area? And good morning. How are you doing? You've had a interesting last week.
Oh yeah, I have. It's been interesting. Sure. I do have a slide that I will share. Let's see.
Joe always comes over prepared.
Let's see. I'm just gonna, can you see that right there?
We sure can.
Okay. So I just wanted to share a little bit about the Every Passion as a Pathway campaign. This is actually a slide, presentation I put forth for our annual awards for community college marketing. So we're going for the whole campaign for an award. So here's sort of the overview, what is here, and really it was to communicate the brand and the breadth of opportunities and drive traffic to the website and also drive enrollment, but really focus in on these pathways. So I think it's been a big success from a marketing standpoint and also from hopefully a academic and recruitment standpoint to have these 9 different pathways that we've never had before. And I think hopefully the next step will be that we'll have a first semester set up for students that aren't really sure where they want to go in the specific pathway. They might want to choose between a number of majors in one of the pathways, and they can take just that first semester and not hurt themselves by taking a class that they don't need. So with that, I think you can see a lot of the stuff you've been seeing all around. I won't get into the full details of the campaign, all the videos and all the billboards and all the on-campus signage and everything else. And it really gets down to the results. I did have a number in here at the time when I submitted it where enrollment was. I've just got to put it up slightly here. It's good to hear that the credit hours are up even more significantly than the enrollment. And then the way that we have to judge our success, because not everything we do directly, and we can't tie it directly to enrollment. We just play a role. But the landing page for pathways, the www.monroeccc.edu/pathways, was the 4th most used web page with 7,597 users in the period that we were promoting. And then you can see the dips, as soon as we stopped, it dips down a little bit. So, it's working. And then it was the number 5 most hit page with 13,196 views in that span. So, and then we can go in individually, and I think you should be seeing the Google Analytics here, where I can go ahead and judge. We've never had program pages perform this well, even when we did campaigns directly for specific programs. So you can see here that the top rated pathways page is here. I mean, the general page is here. And then you see the individual ones for health sciences with 4,626 views. you can see the Reconnect on campus, which was another thing over the summer. But then the individual ones like applied technology, and then programs like nursing and pathways such as business, they're all showing up. The computer pathway had 2,000, et cetera. Creator, which isn't even one we really focused on with specific advertising, had good numbers there as well. So that's it was a really successful campaign. We're going to continue it on for quite some time. I think this one's going to last for years, and we're going to add some things to it this calendar year. That's it.
That's interesting you say that, Joe, because I've heard specifically regarding some of the programs that we're having a little bit more difficulty filling of recent, such as respiratory therapy, that their numbers are as high as they've been in the last few years. So that's we're definitely having an impact, and obviously the advocates are having an impact as well. So that's fantastic. Amanda, how are you? Amanda Althouse.
Okay, I was waiting for you to say the last name. I'm well, thank you. Well, it's been busy over here, just like everywhere, but it's been good. So disability services has been working like crazy. We have a huge increase in students, a lot of walk-in students, a lot of new needs, at least new to me. But some exciting things, we have our first group of tutors, and we've been able to address some new topics. It's very difficult to get nursing tutors, very difficult to get respiratory therapy, and accounting was a huge gap. So all three of those gaps have been filled this semester. There's someone covering all three. So we're super excited about that. We've also extended some hours to the evenings and some remote tutoring to try to cover the students who can't be here during the day to receive tutoring. So super excited about that. We have Kambuza, who's been very helpful working with students. Everybody over here, Amber's been busy, and I just have to give a specific shout out to Monica. The testing center has been slammed for months. And she came right in and she has just done an amazing job. So everybody over here has been working really hard. I definitely think things are hopefully starting to kind of gain their footing, but really excited to see how the numbers change with these new programs.
Awesome. And we really need to point out that new enrollment does not happen without the testing center, without getting those students through hours of testing. And sometimes the students take more than 3 hours getting through their placement tests. So that's just fantastic work. The new procedures over there are going very well, where the testing center actually enters the scores prior to our SEM works visit, and thanks to Joe for all his work in making that happen. It's just really paying off with information that we're utilizing. The testing center enters those scores directly prior to they handed the score to the student, and we hoped the score made its way over to admissions and into the colleague system. Yeah, exactly, Nancy. You can't make that up, right? So great work. Also, Amanda, we're getting the CRM working. Are we getting early alerts through that yet?
Yes, we are.
Fantastic.
And Amanda Gregory and she sent me an email yesterday about this. We did get our first couple alerts that came through yesterday. So we're good to go on there.
Okay, let's send a email out to all faculty if you would, just reminding them. In fact, just send them one every Friday. Amanda, just a reminder to go through your roster, identify students who could benefit from services, and not just tutoring services, right? We have mental health now, we have disabilities. So we're really glad to have Amanda on for another year. That partnership is fantastic. And so we really have a lot of supports in place now for students that we just didn't have. So that's fantastic. And I believe we're meeting later today to have a meeting about where that's going and so forth with the grants. So that's exciting too. All right, Nikki, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm great as well. And as difficult as everything was for your team and all the things that we need to do, just a huge shout out to your team for getting through everything, but more importantly, doing it with a positive attitude and not letting students see our our frustrations when things aren't great. It was just fabulous work, and I wanted to open it up for any comments from you.
It definitely, as you said, has been a struggle. It seems like every time we feel we got to the top of the mountain, it comes crashing down again. But we're doing good right now. We're in a good spot. We're currently trying to adjust all the state awards, and like always, the state keeps changing rules. They just sent us some new updates, like as far as SAP. So previously, if we had a student SAP'd, they could still get, say, reconnect. Well, they've sort of changed those a little bit, so we might have some issues with some students that are now under the new rules, not qualified for anything. So we're going to sit down, we're identifying the students right now, and then we'll sit down and figure out what we can do or how we can possibly work around the new state rules. Again, they left it very, very broad and open to interpretation. So I'm hoping we can sort of figure that out to help these students.
Are the new SAP rules retroactive? That we know
No,
that they like?
unfortunately,
Okay,
the state never grandfathers anyone in, which doesn't make sense, but we'll figure it out as soon as we identify them. We have a handful of students so far.
Okay. All right. So some exciting things coming up. This will impact a lot of us. That's actually a great transition. Nikki, is the Reconnect program is officially down to 21. So anyone age 21 and over will be paid for by the Reconnect program. The official date is October, but they have actually said that they would pay for students retroactively who qualify for this winter. So you will have that to look at as well, Nikki. I know how much fun retroactive financial aid is.
Well, and so when I was reading that email yesterday, I was like, no, they can't just, they should honestly just start it for winter. I mean, it's great for students, but I mean, we have a lot of students that are already, especially students coming in, say 21, that we've given large scholarships to. So there's going to be a lot of, I believe, for fall where it's really not going to benefit them. Like they're not going to get that refund because we're going to have to do so much adjusting of aid that they already have.
True. That is true. But it's last dollar, so if we can send some students some money or do something or pay for something, then fantastic. But it'll we have time to do that, so there's no rush to get that in and done. And actually, I have a state report I need to do for the 60/30 program as well.
Scott,
yeah.
Are the parameters the same then as the 25? Okay, because I heard
Yes.
there was something about determining if they were impacted by COVID and stuff like that. So all that stuff is gone for the 21 to 25s.
Yeah, the only one that was the COVID impact was the Futures for Frontliners was COVID
okay.
impact. And my understanding is they've tried to move over all of those students that they could to the Reconnect program is where they prefer them. And that makes sense for us as well to get them off of there. The Futures was a little bit more restrictive.
Okay.
Yep. So with that said, we're about to have a lot of fun this fall. So Joe, I know the 21 thing will impact you. We want to do a good campaign towards that. What I'd like to do is take a couple of days that we can find. Maybe we'll do a couple of Fridays where we just take a large part of our team and go get the flyers out to businesses. That's what impacted the success of the Reconnect program the first time the most, was just getting the information into workrooms of workers and to get employers to tell their employees about it. A lot of employers in this area have programs that will pay for their employees' education. This one is free. I know Applebee's has a deal with some for-profit, and a couple of fast food chains have deals with some for-profits. Here, it's local. The student can come here, they can do online, and it's 100% free to the employer. So as soon as they hear that, they jump right on board and get pretty excited. So we'll do a real on the ground, boots on the ground campaign to get to them as well. The other thing is the advocates for the first time will really be working out in the schools and starting to build that CRM with information from our local students. And I'm also betting that we can get a lot of CRM information in on students through other channels where we can get lists and so forth of our coming up graduates. Know also that all of the principals, it is within their goal that all of their students go to college. So the principals want this too. They are really our advocates. They're dying for us to work with them. Maybe we need to have a meeting with principals, counselors, stuff like that. But it's time to really shine and get out there into the school. So that's very exciting. So I'd like some feedback here. What can we do better? What were some hangups this semester where someone said, "Oh, if we just did that a little differently, we could make an even bigger impact." Katie.
So I was talking with Peggy, the bookstore. The bookstore is wonderful, but this access code stuff and all of that stuff with electronic books, we did have a number of students who did end up dropping because it was too complicated. There's too many different online book options, and there's MindTap that they have to have access to, and this and that. And it is, can speak to it because my husband goes through it every semester. It is complicated, and there's got to be an easier way to make it work for the students.
And boy, we heard that, Katie, from our Reconnect students in the winter a couple of semesters ago. We really heard that from them. So that's a great point. Let's plan a meeting with the bookstore, and we'll figure out who needs to be a part of that, and just brainstorm with them, because I know that they're interested in stuff like that too. Jenny Shylander, how are you?
I'm fabulous. How are you this morning?
Great. Thanks for asking.
All right. Hey, I just wanted to piggyback on that textbook thing because I see it with I've been taking calls at 7 in the morning to 10 p.m. Getting kids set up or students set up with these access codes and walking through in the math. I only have experience with connecting students with the My Math Lab process and that access code, but it's just not easy. And I've seen that as a gap. It's difficult with orientation, of course. It's too early to talk very much about the textbook process, but there's got to be, I'd love to be a part of a meeting on this, because there's got to be a way that we can enter in one more time and create an experience to walk students through it in person, because I find myself doing it. That's all I'm doing right this moment is getting the math students in.
Katie, could I request that you would put together a meeting between our team? So our team should be inclusive of anyone who wants to participate. So let's make sure Jenny is in there. We need to make sure someone from financial aid is in there so Nikki can decide whether that's her or someone else. And obviously Kelly should be there as well. I don't know, maybe someone from the finance division as well, who should be doing disbursements. I don't know, I'll let you decide on that. And
Hey,
obviously
Sky.
I want to be a part of that.
Hey,
Yeah.
you should probably have somebody from the faculty side or academic side too.
I would be happy to join. This is Liz.
I mean, I have
Yeah.
access codes too, and there's issues every semester, but I mean, their first when you look through the bookstore website and everything, they should be working with their instructor first.
Yeah, and I
Because
can't help
I
but,
solve most of their problems myself, dealing directly with Kelly, and it's kind of indivisible to them. And a lot of the questions are very simple, but it is overwhelming. It's a code, or they bought a
Right.
bundle and they did, sometimes like right now, anybody that bought the digital book, but not the printed loose leaf version bundle, got everything perfectly. But if you got the bundle, then it held up everything because that's on back order. So I just had to work behind the scenes with Kelly, and it was taken care of in a couple of days. She gave me the information. Here's what you need to tell them to do, and then I worked directly with them. But
Katie,
I
include
don't
a
know.
dean in there as
And
well.
yeah, I mean,
And
Matt
let's have
Birdmeyer and
Liz in
I
there.
kind of communicate because he teaches the same class and he's my lead faculty. So there might be a component there with the faculty that makes it a little easier on the students, but I don't know if I don't know how engaged all of them are in this process with their books.
Yeah, and
So
that's
I
why
think,
I think we need to include a dean so we can have that discussion too. There's probably something that can happen there to help ease this process.
Yeah. I just know it's overwhelming, and then
Yep.
you have Pearson's, you have Cengage, you have, and it's a lot. It really is a lot. If there was one electronic company, we all use Cengage and the students get comfortable with it, that's fine. But to have all these different ones, I think it just makes it complicated. Think about it from a student perspective. You have an English that's using Cengage, and you have, a business that's using Pearson, and you have math that's using My Math Lab or whatever it is. It's a lot.
Yeah.
It is a lot.
Can buying books be part of the orientation process and dealing with this?
It's
Or
too
is it?
early. It's
How's
so early for
Yeah,
that.
it's too early for a lot of those, but maybe it could be a part of the syllabus or something like that where there's direct information. If you're taking this course, anyway, let's just include a few people. Let's include Carrie as well, because I'd like to survey the students that have dropped and get some more information on that, because I have heard from several students who dropped. It was just, I couldn't even get the book. I mean,
Yeah.
they were out right there, right?
Scott, can I hop into this really quick? Because this
Yes.
was actually something on my radar, so I'm really glad you brought it up, Katie. We've had so many students over here in our lab with this exact issue. So, and we can talk about it more in that meeting, Scott, but what I would really like to see maybe is a few workshops over here if the faculty were comfortable with that, where our tutors and student assistants could walk them through the beginning of that process, because we're doing it anyway. So maybe if we advertise like a larger group, if they need help with that.
Katie, if you're not offended by this, what I'd like to do is move the lead on this project and meeting to Amanda Althouse. It makes a little bit more sense there since she's seeing a lot of the students and you guys have so much that we're going to jump into with advocates and so forth. Is that okay with everyone? With both of you?
I'm fine with it as long as it doesn't, I just, I wanted to bring it up because
Yeah.
that's what we were hearing as far as the drops, and that's a huge concern on my
Yeah.
end.
Okay. Keep Katie in on the meetings, Amanda, but if you wouldn't mind taking the lead on that and
Yeah.
setting up that meeting, that'd be super. Okay.
Absolutely. Thanks,
Perfect.
Katie. I appreciate you bringing that up.
Liz, great morning.
Good morning. And Amanda, I was just going to say I would love to be a part of that as well. And Jeff Peters would be a great person to include because we would
Awesome.
have a lot of background on
Great
publishers and stuff
point.
like that
And
and
actually, Jeff
technology.
Peters could put a notice right on everybody's Brightspace day one.
And I believe he does that.
Okay.
And one other thing I just wanted to share was I'm updating our research guides. I'm starting to make some for student services, and I have a few. I'll just share the veterans one as an example, but if a student service would like a research guide that links to all of our collections, so our databases, movies, books, and then links for services in the community as well. This is a good student-facing resource, and I'm starting to build up some. So right now I have veterans, I have one for the makerspace, I have a career services one. So I'm going to start to build out those in student services, and I just wanted to share it with all of you today. So if you'd like one, send me an email and I will start working and on that for you.
Liz, you're amazing. That's awesome. Thank you. Amy Ackerman, good morning. Sorry, great morning.
Good morning. I just want to piggyback also on the technology issue. I don't know, I know we're spread a little thin with staffing, but I would love to see maybe in each building, like a tech help station, just that first week. I cannot tell you the number of students we're helping get onto get into their email, get onto Brightspace, to navigate. I was helping somebody with their A&P book yesterday. But I think that would be a huge service to students if it was very obvious. Hey, you need tech help, start here. We're chasing down, IT to try and, help students for those more difficult kind of issues, technology issues. But if there's some that we could handle, or that, there's a central place that they can go, that might be helpful. And I will say I reached out to Philip Weir yesterday, and the faculty was great about, kind of helping me help the student. So, but it's just a lot to juggle in addition to everything else we need to do to help get these students ready for the start of the semester.
Great feedback. And Amanda, can I expand the purpose of your team to, let's just call it Ask Me Week, right? We did the Ask Me buttons. So what are the other things we need to have available for students in that first week for support? It's not just, right? Ask Me it's nice to have the sign on the on the shirt, and I think people did a good job of and embraced that idea. But maybe we need to expand that idea for the first couple of days, so that there are places on campus you can get book help, you can get the technology help. Make sure you get into the email. Maybe we actually put up some stations and have a few folks man them and get faculty involved, and because we can't do everything either, right? So
The
that'd be
advocates
great.
did do that this fall. I don't know if anyone knew that, but each of the advocates were stationed among the buildings. So their buildings. So Alex was in health. They had little table signs, our tablecloth with the ask me what I can do. So I don't know if any of the advocates want to talk about some of the questions and things that they were able to help with, but there were advocates in each of the buildings throughout the first week.
That's fantastic. And I did not know that. Thank you for sharing that, Katie. Amy, did you still have a question or input?
No, my hand's just hanging in the air.
Okay, I do that all the time.
Thanks.
Gerald.
So I wanted to add to the discussion. So Liz and myself have opened up discussions with Kelly Heisling in the bookstore, because one of the other challenges we have is we do get a lot of students that enroll very, very late, like the day of classes or the day before classes, and they do their financial aid that day. And so there's no way for them to get books unless they can pay cash. We don't have any method of doing that. And that is a huge barrier, because in many cases, depending on if they're selected for verification with financial aid, it could be a couple of weeks before they're able to get their books. So we did open up discussions, and Liz is leading this with the bookstore about getting copies on reserve in the library for those critical textbooks, like for your English, for your math, for some of those classes, especially for our lower level, 100 level, 200 level classes, that they could go to the library, they could copy the first couple of chapters until they get their financial aid, get things straightened out and ready to go. There are some potential challenges, but I feel that we can work through those. And Liz is taken charge of that. So Liz, I really appreciate that. So as we get through this semester, we'll hopefully have some good news on that. Will be another way to kind of eliminate those barriers and get people through the first couple of weeks with their books. And so the library staff has been really great at embracing that. So look for some good things there.
Thank you, Gerald, for working on that. I think that's a great idea. One of the families that I was working with that you also met, the mother who was just very upset with financial aid and everything, that student actually dropped this semester because of the price of the books. Because she was saying just how if she had, because she didn't, well, we don't know the results of her financial aid because she had just applied, but she's like, okay, maybe if, I have to pay for the classes, but on top of that, the books, it was just a lot.
Did anyone get that student to Project Persist to be evaluated there? We need to make sure we do that. Okay, because that would have been an avenue for that student to get those books paid for. Janice, and then we also need to talk about HLC for a few minutes.
I just wanted to comment about students coming in and trying to get on their computers and in Brightspace and stuff. We do have computers here in the library, and we have a computer lab. So Katie, next time, if you have advocates come out and help in the beginning of school, if we could also have one in the library, that would be great. But yeah, we see that same kind of thing here. Thanks.
Yeah, Amanda, if you would make sure Janice is on that meeting list as well. McKenna, good morning. Sorry,
Hi,
great
good
morning.
So I heard Project Persist and I haven't heard about it yet. I just looked it up on our page. Can we go into a little detail if we have time about Project Persist and like some points? Because on our end, through registration, we get students who have those issues with financial aid as well. And I think knowing as many avenues to direct them to help them would be really beneficial.
Yeah.
I think you're
Scott, you're on mute.
Cheryl, do you want to give a one minute overview on Project Persist, and then I need to do HLC?
Yep. So Project Persist is a method where students can fill out an application. There is a committee of us, several of us that include financial aid, counseling, disability services, and myself that review the applications. And a lot of times we're able to assist with some support. One of the things, though, that's required, of course, is they have to have their financial aid completed. We have to take a look at their financial need as part of that. So where it is helpful, but a lot of the students that are applying for financial aid so late, we don't have an accurate idea of what their financial need is. So the other part of that is with the financial aid being complete, that money goes on to their account, for lack of a better term. It's not cash given to them that they can go. So it really necessitates having financial aid being complete. The other part of Project Persist is that we do offer money to help students pay for things like their DTE bill, home internet, and things like that. So out at the website, you can go out there. There's an application you can fill online. It gets to us on our committee, and we meet every Wednesday to discuss these. And literally every semester, we're giving out hundreds and in many cases, thousands of dollars. We've even helped to pay someone's security deposit to get into a house so that they have housing. So it's really kind of unlimited, whatever is a barrier for the student. But thanks to Josh Myers and the foundation, I mean, we're literally giving away thousands of dollars every semester. So thank you.
Right, and I apologize. We'll probably go a few minutes over, but I don't want to turn down hands that are up. But we do need to talk about HLC. So Joe.
Yeah, I just want to, isn't this where the late start courses used to come in, or where we thought they would come in? I mean, wouldn't it be better if we could just say, look, why don't you start in November? We got 3 classes, English, whatever, and get your stuff in order. Because I mean, I just feel like no matter what you do, even if you get them in, what's the success rate for these students who are coming in at the last second? Is it worth it to get them for the enrollment numbers? Because I don't think it is. And
Yeah,
we don't seem to do those anymore. So
we'll continue to request that, because it really is a good avenue for these students to come in. And we were getting 30 applications a day in the last 2 days, but you just can't get students in at that point. So the irony is there are a whole lot of students who think they can just show up on the last day, or not even just apply on the last day and get in. And we could serve those students differentially if we had that. So we'll continue to talk with instruction about that. Amy.
Just real quick, because I work with Project Persist. It really is intended for those emergency kind of situations. So just kind of keep that in mind a little bit as you're referring students. So it's not really to be their source of ongoing tuition support, or their source. It's more of a kind of a one-time stopgap to assist students in those barriers for continuing their education. So that it is a little tricky, but sometimes we can link them with other resources. So make them aware of scholarships that the college offers, link them with our food pantry, link them with, My Bridges, so that we can pull together some wraparound services for the students So I think just kind of keeping that in mind, because it's not intended for, this is going to pay for my nursing program. This is going to pay for my books every semester. This is going to, so unfortunately, we don't have those funds. It'd be wonderful if we did.
Last hand, Allison.
Yeah, sorry, real quick. Thank you, Amy, for saying that, because I really just wanted to piggyback off of that, because we have had a lot of students with that situation. And one thing that I wanted to just real quick say is, for financial aid and for stuff like this with this Project Persist, is keep in mind that we can't give books to, like, we can't do that for a large amount of students. So there's a lot of nursing students with Reconnect who are in the same situation, who know that they have to pay for their books. And so this Project Persist isn't for a large group of students who are in the same situation. And so, so for everyone, if you do get a student and you're wanting to talk to them about Project Persist or something, have them please speak to the financial aid office first and look at their financial aid. And then if it's a situation, maybe then refer them to Gerald or Amy and them.
Very good.
Thank you.
All right, we have several HLC days coming up in September and October. We will have Matt Fowler here doing mock interviews. We will be putting out, and I think Grace already put out the document for review, but if she hasn't, we'll have that pretty soon to look over our HLC document. So a couple of things. I want everyone on this team to know that the expectation is take the time to read the document once you have it. It's 35,000. It'll be right around 35,000 words, so it's not a terrible read. But we need to know our area, what it says about our areas. The directors have already looked over the document for accuracy and so forth, but it's very important that you know what's in there about your area. And your area actually doesn't take up much time, but I'd like you to read the whole document so you can really see what other people are saying about what they do in the college. And this is actually will be very informational for everyone. Things like Project Persist, all these programs are in there. So it's a good way to learn about the college as well. You never think about assurance argument as a way to learn about the college, do you, Joe? But it really is. It's a way to see what everyone has said their areas are doing. But we want to make sure we have one voice, just as the document should speak in one voice. So that's a very, very big issue. Please also make sure, I don't like to place too many blackout dates on vacations and so forth, but for the day of our official visit in October, I think that's October 16th and 17th, that needs to be a blackout day. We need to have people here. We can't be telling we can't tell accreditors that someone that they want to talk to isn't here. I'll be working with the entire college to put together a team of students as well for the accreditors to talk to. So this will be their opportunity to talk to accreditors about how they feel the institution is doing as well. And they will be asked about our processes. And so let's make it a fun time, exciting time, but there is a little bit of homework to do. Please make sure that once that's out, I'll send it out to everyone, that everyone reads that assurance document. Questions, thoughts, concerns? Yes, Amanda.
Scott, a very quick question just to make sure that I'm on the right page. The document you're talking about, is that the one we log into through the link that Grace sent out a couple weeks ago?
You're muted, Scott.
It's being greatly modified right now, so that is the document I'm referring to. And I will immediately send out a notice to everyone as soon as that document is locked down. And when it's locked down, that means it's not changing anymore. So we're pretty close to that. But yeah, let's just all make sure we do our homework. And also, quite frankly, it's just a great way to learn about the college, which is very interesting. Questions, other questions, thoughts?
What were the dates again?
October 16th and 17th, I think. Let me pull it up and just make sure I have that correct.
Yeah, that's right.
It's right. Okay. And
Yeah,
Joe,
I
do
think
you,
the 16th is a half day. It's like just the morning. Or
right.
the 16th is a full, the 17th is the morning.
Okay. Joe, would you offhand have the day that um Matt Fowler is coming in?
Yeah.
I believe it's the 15th of September.
There it is. You're correct. So those 3 dates, September 15th, October 16 and 17. Let's make sure we are available and prepared. And by
So
prepared,
Scott, that document will be locked down before, I mean, with time before Matt comes on the 15th. I mean, because it's
it should be in. I'll work with Grace to just say, you know, is it. I think the day they'll lock it down is the 12th of September, but I'm guessing that it'll be in pretty good readable form before that, so that people can look at it.
I
I
mean,
mean,
it takes a
you can look at it now. It's just probably really at this point we're cleaning up grammar and stuff and shortening things up. So you're free to look at it now. It's not going to change in terms of content. It'll just change in terms of how well it's written and conciseness.
but it does take some time to get through the whole thing. And it's not fun to do it in one sitting. So, but I mean, the advice I would give to people is just as you read it, there's going to be things that don't impact you at all. But if there's a way to read through it, I always try to think about examples of how does this affect me, and how could I give an example of how I've seen this going on at the college, or how it's directly impacted me, and how I used, how this information, they're always seem to be asking for, well, how does this work? How
Right.
The strategic plan, what's an example of how that's impacted you? And you can, just kind of think through those scenarios, because those are the questions they ask.
Yep.
And they're always in big groups. I mean, they're groups of 30 and 20 people, and it's hard sometimes to speak up and give those examples, but we need people to do it because silence is never great. So.
That is a great point, Joe. And to that end, what I will ask is directors, please find a day where you're just doing a department meeting, and maybe you just practice a little bit of answering questions, but answer questions with examples and help, because that's not the way we always think, right? When we're asked a question, but that's really what they're looking for when we can do it, is provide an example of how you implement something. Questions?
Scott, I think that's a great point. When you talk about the other one, that with my experience with accreditations, is when they ask you a question, you give the answer and give an example. Be concise. Don't go off on a tangent, because if you do, then they're going to want more information from you. They're going to want examples. It might be an area that you're not familiar with, but yet if you're sitting in front of them, they're considering you an expert. So if they're asking you about how you evaluate transcripts, you're going to talk about your process, your procedure, and what you do. You don't go off anywhere else, because if you do, you open up that can of worms. So just be careful, kind of like the auditors. You give them the answer, the only answer, short, concise, and move on, right?
That's a great point, Gerald. And I'm going to play Agent Gibbs, Special Agent Gibbs, right now, and say my number one rule with accreditation is really consider the question carefully, answer the question, and nothing more. So answer very concisely, and here's an example, but nothing more. It's not, if you get into other questions, then you are opening yourself up to questions. Let's just put it that way. I see Amanda smiling there. She's got some expertise in this.
Yeah, it's just in trial. It's an evidentiary principle called opening the door, and often you don't want to do it.
I'm good here, but I'm guilty over here. How would you like to know? All right. Any other questions? Excellent. You're a phenomenal team. I so appreciate you. We're about to have a lot of fun this year. I really believe that now that we have staffing, we have people in positions. We still have a little movement going on. And Amy Ackerman, by the way, I don't know if everybody knows, but you were on a full-time real position here at the college and not funny money. That's what I call out of our Perkins money, right? Huge congratulations, Amy, and well deserved. It's good to have you on full time and on a real line.
Thank you.
Yes. Yep. All right, team. We will get at it. I'll send out notices for future meetings, and thank you for all you do, and have a great long weekend. Go do something fun. I know I will. I'm going off the grid and gonna go camping. I'm gonna make my daughter look at trees. Gerald would be proud. Name those trees. All right,
Have a great
everybody.
weekend.
Thanks all.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.